Hello there ladies and gentlemen, I'm Paul TX141 Walsh, welcoming you to an all new World of Warships gameplay today on our channel. In this episode we shall be setting sail in our Tier VII American destroyer known as the Mahan. But we are not alone today in this Tier 9 match on the map Shatter, the domination game type of which, whereby we're setting sail alongside our two good friends, Zouron in his Tier 7 Nagato, a Japanese battleship, and ScorpionONfire or Callum in his Tier 7 Japanese destroyer known as the Hatsuharu. Now the emphasis of today's gameplay is going to be on teamwork, in particular between Callum and I, whereby we are going to apply the relative strengths of our two ships and mitigate our weaknesses in collaboration with one another in order to play the objective and help our team secure the victory. But we should not forget about Zouron, who in his Nagato is going to sail south of the land masses for the entirety of this game and act more as a communicator and also an advisor. We're playing over TeamSpeak, keep that in mind. Live chat therefore is active. He's going to be communicating potential threats and opportunities in terms of his own ship state and also just looking at the map in general. We have asked him to particularly focus on noticing when the enemy Kagero, the Tier 9 Japanese destroyer, which is absolutely lethal to ships in general over open seas, has been spotted. As with its torpedo wall, it will make mincemeat of Zouron's own Nagato if it is allowed to get close enough, or alternatively fire at long distance and Zouron is caught in the middle of an engagement. But more on that a little bit later. In the meantime, Callum and I are heading towards A, having started in that southwestern corner of the map, making our way directly northwards. The logic here being to capture the objective in order to help our team secure some points on the board and also provide visibility to our battleships and cruisers that are heading our way but falling behind us by relative speeds, mean they will be able to fire first on the enemy ships that are spotted and therefore have the initiative. As we make our way towards A and we're getting a little bit closer, we should note that Callum is going to get there first as his Hatsuharu has a higher top speed compared to our own, 36.5 knots compared to our own 35.1 knots. As we make our way in, I'm going to be focusing my attention towards B, as I have the torpedo range, as my torpedoes have just loaded, to be able to fire some speculative torps onto B, with my torpedo range being 9.2 km and their velocity being 55 knots, versus Callum's own 10 km range with a torpedo speed of 59 knots on his stock torpedoes which are mounted. An enemy Atlanta has been spotted heading towards B by our friendly Fubuki, our Tier 8 Japanese destroyer. We fire some speculative torps hoping that the Atlanta will become so engrossed in taking on our Fubuki they will not notice our torpedoes coming onto their starboard side. We should also note that an enemy York has been spotted by Callum heading down the same route that the enemy Atlanta went down, a very narrow causeway which is northwest of B. But more on that in a little while. In the meantime we make our way back onto A in order to finish off the capture point, thereby saving us time, Callum and I, mean that we can move on to our next objective as quickly as possible. Now with the Fubuki engaging the Atlanta here and probably firing off some torpedoes, let's go have a look at how our torpedoes are doing. Well, it looks as though the Fubuki is going to hit with one torpedo, and ours are going to finish him off. Here we go. First blood, but let's not get cocky. Now we could head north at this point, but we would be playing to a disadvantage on our own ship, whereby the Mahan actually has quite a weak detectability range, 7.9 km by sea, compared to Callum's own 6.7 km. Meaning that Callum could go charging north and essentially use his torpedoes to spread the enemy ships and hopefully clip one or two as they begin to try and manoeuvre out of the way. Meanwhile, we would not be able to get into a position where we could use our torpedo range and our speed to our advantage, simply because we do not have the concealment factor. So we decide to head towards B instead. We have already eliminated one ship on B, we know the York is now coming down to B, and Callum is firing off his torpedoes in order to try and replicate the effect that I had on the Atlanta, but on the York. In the meantime, the enemy Mahan has been spotted, engaging our friendly Fubuki and knocking them out, although we are going to see that the enemy Mahan is going to be knocked out by our Fubuki's torpedoes. Death from the grave. So with the other enemy destroyer eliminated, only the Kagero remaining. We're still waiting for a call out on that, but in the meantime we need to focus on the York. And here we notice that they are getting within 7 km, and we have the ability of armour piercing on their broadside now to citadel them. And this is where we can use our high fire rate and our ability to have eye arcs on our cannons in order to do a good amount of damage on the York. Whereby Callum's main cannon, 127mm in calibre, much like our own 4 cannon, will not have the ability to do this as rapidly. We even pick up a citadel on one of the rear turrets of the York, and in our jubilance from picking that up we collide with an island. But with Callum's torpedoes now covering for our mistake, i.e. hitting the York and causing him to turn away, This means we do not have to worry about our mistake too much, as we now switch to high explosive to score some additional hits, preventing the York from capturing, having already picked up 7 defend base flags, ribbons, and we're going to continue increasing that number significantly here. Some torpedoes are coming from the York, but we can get out of the way, spotting them at a nice distance. And Callum does not have the ability to fire over the island here, unlike us, so we can use our high gun arc here to continue to harass the York off of the objective. And Zouron has also thrown him some shells from the south, we should keep that in mind. So through our combined efforts here, we can see that we have eliminated the York from the game essentially, as they now have very little health remaining, just over 5,000 health. Reversing away now from being behind the island, hoping to get a clear shot on target. I made the mistake here of reversing. I should have stayed behind the island, just let Callum go forward, as he would be able to spot the York without taking any return fire, and Callum's gun range is only 9.3 kilometers compared to our own 11.7 kilometers, so that would have really played to our strength. But we can see here how we outranged the Hatsuharu, and we can still rain down fire on the York. But we hold our fire simply because if we kept firing, we may have stayed spotted for a little bit longer to the enemy ships up in the northwest, i.e. 2 cruisers and 2 enemy battleships, 2 North Carolinas, and if one of those hits us with a high explosive, well, that would be a nasty story to talk about. Pardon me. So here Callum gets onto the objective, and we are going to rush in as well, again, to speed up the capture process. Now whilst it could be seen as though we're just leaping on the bandwagon here to pick up additional experience, the idea here really is that as well as picking up some experience, rather naughtily of us, we also reduce the time taken to capture, and this means that we can head more towards sea and assist Zouron, who is now the lead ship out of our southern flotilla. 2 battleships leading the way against a Kagero which has been spotted over in sea, and he has informed us of that over in TeamSpeak, is a bit of a problem, simply because that ship is now allowed to rain torpedoes without being spotted. We are going to intervene, as they have just been spotted, fortunately enough, by a friendly reconnaissance fighter, which seems to be lingering around a point just south of sea as it has been eliminated by one of the enemy ships, but the plane itself has not been knocked out yet or run out of fuel. But we should not rush to get over there. We want Callum to lead once again, because he has the better concealment values on his ship. And in the meantime we detect the enemy Iowa, and we continue to note the enemy Chapayev. Now here we just look down our torpedo sight to see whether we can get any torpedoes off on the Iowa. It's a very meaty ship, and we would love to knock some of its health down, especially seeing as it is a Tier 9 battleship. But we're just going to wait and let Callum take the lead. As we do so, we realise that whilst it is important that we take out the Kagero as quickly as possible, and they're still being spotted, fortunately for us, by that fighter that is lingering over the presence of sea, we do not want to rush into a situation where we're not going to be playing to our strengths. We want to get this right, because if we do so, we keep Zouron alive, we minimise the loss of our own health, and we can knock that Kagero out of the game quite successfully without the Chapayev and the Iowa having any effects whatsoever to assist their teammate. So now we make our way. The logic here is going to be that Callum is going to come up on the right hand side of the Kagero. We can see 2 islands here and a gap between them. Callum is firing his torpedoes down between that gap in order to cut off the Kagero's options. That is, if he decides to head that way, he will run straight into the torpedoes and be out of position. So Callum will be coming up on the right hand side of the island, the right of the two islands essentially. That's a lot of rights in a single sentence, sorry about that. I intend to go through the middle. But at first I'm going to be following Callum, so that way if the Kagero comes a little bit towards the gap between the 2 islands, they will not spot us making our way there, simply because they will not have a direct line of sight, as we are technically now within spotting range of the Kagero if they get a direct line of sight on us. The torpedoes have made their way down. It is likely the Kagero has spotted them, so that means they will be stuck behind this one little island. Now Callum is getting ready to go around on the right hand side. We've made sure the Kagero has nowhere to go, as they are no longer being spotted, which means they must be behind that island. In the meantime, we look towards the Iowa once again and notice we cannot get a torpedo shot on them, so that means the Iowa is not going to be a problem for the time being, as we have a number of islands between us and them. The Kagero, meanwhile, is now going to try and charge towards us whilst firing torpedoes at Callum, and we are within the ranges now whereby we can spot each other via proximity spotting, and Callum dodges the torpedoes here thanks to some brilliant emergency braking. In the meantime, we're coming charging up on the Kagero here, who has fired off a good portion of their torpedoes. They may have one set of tubes remaining, we're not sure, but who cares? Bye bye, Kagero. Nice knowing you. And with that Kagero eliminated and a devastating strike delivered, we can now begin capturing the point. And we deploy our smoke here as the Miyoko on the enemy team, who we did not know was actually just north of sea, is technically able to spot us as we're well within their spotting range. Or I should say really our poor concealment factor, by comparison with Callum's own. So we deploy our smoke here so we can capture without being spotted, and we turn off our anti-aircraft batteries so that the enemy reconnaissance plane, or the enemy fighter on the Miyoko, does not see us. With our smoke now lingering across us, we can sit here for up to 121 seconds, but we will not need to. And with a cyclone incoming, we want to get this game out of the way before the cyclone arrives, as that will change the entire meta of the match, and we do not want that. So, with all 3 points in our favour now, the enemy Miyoko is making their way towards B, but Zouron has the ability to cover B as he has positioned himself just southeast of it, as we can see on the minimap, and we also have an Otago covering it. Although the Miyoko takes a nasty set of torpedoes from the Otago, and I believe that is going to be the end of their game very shortly, with Otago using their guns to finish them off, or somebody using their guns to finish them off. In the meantime, this Iowa seems to be lingering around an island, and they're actually gradually coming out of it. So we open fire with our guns here to try and set a fire, and Callum has sent his torpedoes over there. Again, using our relative strengths, our guns, and Callum's torpedoes. And we can see that 2 of them are going to hit. Well played, good sir. And we are now going to gradually come up towards the Iowa here to try and get some torpedoes of our own in. But in the meantime, we'll just drop our guns on them if needs be. We can see that the enemy shores and the enemy North Carolina are too far back to support the Iowa. The only ship that can potentially support them, if we detect it, is the enemy Chapayev. Callum unfortunately takes a nasty hit from the Iowa at this point, and we are being a little bit slow here in supporting, so this is my mistake. I should have gone between the 2 islands and provided more direct support, but we learn from our mistakes. In the meantime, Callum deploys his smokescreen. He had that available, so he's been able to use his resources to cover his position. And this means that we can charge up now on the Iowa, who is distracted and has just spotted us now, as Callum puts in another set of torpedoes on the Iowa and we throw down our own. We hope to either knock them out of our own torpedoes, with Callum firing some more torpedoes or using his main batteries. Alternatively, we will use our guns as well. And here we throw down our second and last set of facing torpedoes and begin to turn away, using our guns to score a couple more hits and set a fire. And we lose one of our torpedo tubes temporarily thanks to the secondaries on the Iowa, so we really want to get away before it's too late. But our torpedoes are not going to need to hit, because we caused them to burn to death. And now we pick up the win thanks to the capture points. So let's take a look at the post-game stats, eh? Well, I think that was quite a cracking bit of teamwork. And from our perspective, in terms of the victory, we picked up 216,710 silver credits, 2,321 experience, 117 free experience, and 2 awards. The first being First Blood, for being the first to destroy an enemy ship in battle, and the other being a devastating strike, destroying an enemy ship with a single artillery salvo, torpedo salvo, or aircraft by causing damage to over 50% of the destroyed ship's normal HP, in this case being the Kagero, which we eliminated with a torpedo salvo. In terms of our battle performance ribbons, we picked up 31 target hits with our main cannon, 4 torpedo hits, 2 incapacitations, 3 enemy ships destroyed, 1 fire set, 4 floods caused, 1 citadel hit, 12 base defends, and 3 assists in base capture, and we dealt a grand total of 32,070 damage. Looking at the team scores, we can see that we did not come first. First place in terms of experience earned on our team went to Callum, who picked up 2,449 base experience compared to our own 2,321. Although as we can see, our 2 ships in terms of experience were miles ahead compared to the rest of our team, showing how we contributed very heavily towards the team's victory. But we also have to think of Zouron, who whilst only picking up 1,009 experience as his base tally, provided a large amount of communicative support throughout the match and should be commended for that, especially with regards to communicating when the enemy Kagero had been spotted and for us to get a move on to take it out of the game, of which we did so rather swiftly. Looking at our detailed report, we can see that we hit a total of 4 enemy ships, destroying 3 and damaging 1 other. In the damage we caused, i.e. that 32,070, we can break it up as follows. 8,651 of it was made up of the 32 main battery shells we connected with, 24 of which were high explosive, dealing 5,648 damage, and the other 8 shells being armour piercing on the enemy York, dealing 3,003 damage. We did 21,620 damage with the 4 torpedoes we hit with, and the rest of the damage was made up of fires and flooding, 1,799 damage, all going to the fire we set on the enemy Iowa. Looking at the credits and experience we earned, we can see that without a premium account, we picked up 199,057 silver credits after deductions, and in terms of the experience we earned, we picked up that total of 2,321. But before we can move on to our concluding point for today, I personally believe we should take a look at how Callum performed, Seeing as we worked together throughout the whole match, it would be disrespectful not to take a look at his own personal stats for this match. From Callum's perspective, we can see he picked up 217,765 silver credits, 3,674 experience, and 184 free experience. And whilst he did not pick up any awards, his battle performance ribbons were just as varied as ours, picking up 15 target hits, 6 torpedo hits, 2 fires set, 5 floods caused, 2 base defends, 2 bases captured, and 1 base assist capture. He also managed to pick up 85,653 damage, significantly more than what we dealt. Having already pointed out that Callum topped our team in terms of base experience earned, looking at his detailed report we can see that he damaged a total of 4 enemy ships, and in the total of 85,653 damage he caused, this tally can be broken down as follows. 4,033 of that damage can be attributed to main battery shells, 15 high explosive shells in particular. The majority, i.e. 71,181 of the damage, was caused by 6 torpedoes that hit, and the remaining 10,439 damage was caused by fires and floodings, whereby the 2 fires he struck caused 661 damage, and the 5 floods caused 9,778 damage. And finally, coming onto the credits and experience Callum earned, we can see that without a premium account and with the usage of some flag modifiers, he picked up a tally of 161,214 silver credits to walk away with today, and in experience, 3,674 experience thanks for a ×2 for the first victory of the day. Alternatively, in terms of commander experience, by the usage of flags once again most likely, 4,899 experience. In conclusion then, hopefully today we've demonstrated in general the potency of squad-based play, or what is actually known as division-based play, in the world of Warships, whereby in a group of 2 or 3 within the division, if each individual is aware of the strengths and weaknesses of their own ship and communicates these to their division mates, you become a much more effective force and are able to tip the scales in a given battle. Whereby if you can communicate your strengths to your allies, you can use your strengths not only to your own advantage, but also to help mitigate the weaknesses of your division mates, and they can do the same for you, allowing you as a group to take on more situations which you would not normally take on as an individual, simply because you can have the confidence that your division mates will back you up when the need arises. And by having an objective mindset, you can not only take on the enemy fleet when they appear, but also make sure that the objectives are taken, and that way the victory does come to you, rather than drift towards you aimlessly over the course of a game, as you may be more bloodthirsty than objective based in your gameplay. With respect to today's gameplay, whilst the spotlight shone on the 2 destroyers within the 3-man division depicted, i.e. the Mahan and the Hatsuharu, who formed together to create the Hatsu-han force, that played for the objective at all points, and smashed through, or we could say, caused the enemy team to shatter whenever they got in their path. It is important to remember the 3rd individual within the division in the Nagato, who whilst more distant and away from the objective, provided long-range fire support and also provided communications as to the opportunities and threats that were arising on the other side of the map, as the 2 destroyers made their way from the western side of the map over towards the east, and together the trio were able to influence the outcome of the game quite significantly towards a victory. And so I've been TX141, and if you've enjoyed this video, why not leave a like, comment or subscribe for future World of Warships gameplays on my channel. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care and fair seas.